Good morning. Feast and famine, I think this should be my nickname. Feast or famine? Feast and famine. I just completed a two-part video after a 2.5-month hiatus. And now I'm on to another one. I mentioned that I took kind of a break. Number one, because it's hot in here. Overhead light, this little blazer. Taiwan's a warm place, and this weather's just starting to turn. The autumn equinox was a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago, but it's just catching up. Yesterday we were out surfing, and the weather was just turning a little bit cooler compared to blazing hot at the beach. A little bit cooler is basically comfortable. But there was more to it than that, as there always is. About the time, I think the second to the last video that I did before I took a break was something called conscious forgetting. And I talked about the evolution of conscious forgetting that kind of morphed into mindful forgetting. And since that time, it's become my practice. My practice continues to evolve, erring towards simplicity, which is more than okay with me, because after all, simplicity, when all's said and done, simplicity is all there truly is. It's always been simple. This is what Buddha meant when he said we're all Buddhas. We're all living in a Buddha consciousness. It's about individual awareness, choice, many times, of a failure to recognize our true state. I always call it to remember what we've forgotten. We've forgotten our true being, our true existence, inclusive, embracing, all-inclusive. There's nothing else of perfection. So, several months ago, there was a rumbling. My practice continues to evolve. And previously, the accumulation of karma, as long as we're breathing in and out, it's inevitable, unavoidable, that we're accumulating karma. And I'll just briefly mention here that in the scheme of things, ultimately there's no difference between good karma and bad karma. Karma is action, after all. So this idea of good karma, the Beach Boys, good vibrations, good, yeah. The vibrations are neither good nor bad. They just are. So, simplicity. So, simplicity of the reality of karma. Breathing in and out, we're accumulating karma. And once I was relieved of my karma, lifted, through the grace of my teacher, through my own evolution, my own state of readiness, was relieved of karma. But the second you're relieved through the grace of my Buddhas, Roger Bacon and Milafo, through their grace, through the guidance and love of my teacher, a radio station almost was tuned in to karma's gone. But the very instant that it's gone, the opportunity to accumulate new karma was unavoidable. I call it an opportunity because we do ultimately cannot prevent this karma. It's simply, if we don't act, and acting means heartbeat, breathing, seeing, listening, loving, being. All these things are actions. But if we don't act, well, there's no karma. But no karma would mean, no action would mean static, wouldn't it? So, you must learn, if you don't want to start accumulating again, you must learn the ways to relieve yourself from the consequences of accumulated karma. And the violet consuming flame, the name says it all. And it took for 5 years or 6 years, it took a daily conscious effort to take the time in my meditation to visualize the consuming flame, to surrender the karma to be consumed by the violet flame. And it took a certain amount of attention. And of course, like everything, over the course of time, it became more automatic. But the process was the same. It's just the amount of attention and effort that it took to focus on that. The violet consuming flame comes to me unbidden. If I close my eyes, it's always there. Because it's an expression of God or Buddha. It's a form of God and Buddha. It's an aspect of God and Buddha. This grace, this consumption, this absorption, taking upon itself the burdens that you carry. This is what a good teacher, guru, a leader can do. But it's funny that we're given this gift and we almost scramble to get some karma back. It's as if we can't tolerate the loss of our karma. We begin to associate who and what we are with our accumulation of karma. So anyway, a conscious effort for 4 or 5 years, that over time, 6 years I guess, over time it was just more automatic. But it always included this visualization, this almost, although a non-verbal process, it was almost verbalized in the sense that you had to. It's an offering, verbalized in the form of an offering. through my state of grace, I ask, I beseech, I impose to assume my karma and dispose of it through your ultimate wisdom. And the ultimate wisdom is this violet flame, all-consuming, violet-consuming flame. And its role here is destruction, but creation is closely linked. Creation follows destruction as destruction follows creation. I guess if they caught up with each other, destruction and creation caught up with each other, that would be kind of the end of all that we know. One is chasing the other. But I started listening to forgetting, because forgetting is a process that for most of us signifies becoming forgetful, is kind of closely linked with old age, and it's to be avoided at all costs. Oh, I don't want to be forgetful. That becomes Alzheimer's. I want my mind to keep up and be as active and as alive and as fresh as I want my body to be. Of course, the ravages of time have something to say about that, don't they? And my process with forgetting began with understanding misunderstanding, or having a conception that my hard drive, like a computer, was limited to so many terabytes, and it was full. And either I had to let go of some stuff, or else new stuff couldn't come in. And this is a kind of a... Because there's infinite, our hard drives are capable of infinite storage. So this idea of deleting to be able to have room for more isn't really so, because I told you my internal filing system, my library, my little guy that climbs up and down his ladder, accessing the books as if this is how I visualize it. My library is books, physical books, and the little guy has a ladder, and the bookcases are huge, and he climbs up the ladder. And now, rather than a full hard drive, it's the efficiency of this little guy, or female, I'm open to that, accessing the information. It's all there. It's all there. It never goes away. Everything that has been, is, will be, is all there. Now, as I breathe in and out. Now, as I look into my eyes on my computer screen, visualizing amorphous kind of you out there that I'm talking, sharing with. So I like to keep that guy active. I've always practiced accessing information, and meditation is a really good state. Another state is dreaming, the sleeping dream. I talked a little bit last time about sleeping. And I talk about assigning tasks to my mind, because if it's going to be busy, maybe it can be useful. And sorting and filing and accessing is the epitome, is the ultimate usage of this gray matter that we're gifted with. The gift of remembering. Now, forgetting became more and more important to me. Now, forgetting while at the same time remembering seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? But in the ultimate scheme of things, we find that opposites have equal validity. So remembering and forgetting, it's a process, isn't it? Remembrance, chasing, forgetting, constantly. Again, isn't it interesting how that happens? And any apparent duality has this, its innate nature is that they're part and parcel of the same thing, while one chases the other in an endless dance. But the role of forgetting, because the impetus for forgetting for me was forgiveness. Forgiving myself, forgiving others, forgive and forget. But don't miss the opportunity to learn from your karma, from your activity, from your actions. Don't forget the opportunity that it presents. Because in the scheme of things, if you don't get it the first time, it'll come back. And it'll come back, usually, in my experience, in a more intrusive. Instead of a tap on the shoulder, it's a hit upside the head with a 2x4. And then it'll escalate from there if you let it. Some people just shake it off and, what was that? And wait till the strength of the reminder is not finite, it's infinite. There's infinite possibilities of ways to help you to learn. We all learn at different paces, we all learn in different manners. So this evaluation is looking at forgetting. And I called it, in the previous video, I called it conscious forgetting. It took an effort. Just as getting rid of karma, going through the process of finding the violet consuming flame to eradicate my daily, moment by moment, accumulation of action, karma. It also took an effort to forget. And this flies in the face of our present day sensibilities. We don't want to forget, we want to hold on to. But you gotta let go of the old to allow the new to come. And it's not about hard drive being full. It's infinite. There's more bytes than are measurable, incalculable storage. But to what avail? Why hang on to any of this? That became the burning question for me. I started seeing the beauty of forgetfulness. Because you have to master forgiveness before true forgetfulness can occur. And what better lesson than forgiveness? For many of us, it's easier to forgive others than to forgive ourselves. But the art of forgiveness begins, surprise, surprise, from within. You must forgive yourself to truly forgive the other. because it's one and the same. This is your personal experience of the other. Your inner life is your personal experience of the other. It's key to the other. So it must start. It's not about ego, it's not about me first, but it must start from within. Sort of fertilize, sprout, blossom, fruit. The fruit of forgiveness is forgetting. Forgetting allows you to be in the moment. When you hang on to anything, it prevents the full experience of the moment. You can get a part of the moment, but even in the moment, part of you is somewhere else. And if there's one place you want to be here now, it's in the moment. You begin to understand that there's nothing else. It's always the moment. This is easily understood if I ask you, where's the future? Where's the past? All I have is right now, this moment. So, mindful forgetting, conscious forgetting takes an effort. Mindful forgetting just means surrender to complete forgiveness and enjoy the fruit. Forgetting. And what I really wasn't aware of on a conscious level, the last 2.5 months, not only have I not done my normal every other day or every 2 or 3 days video of the last couple of years, I took a break. And this marked the beginning of the latest evolution of my personal process. Mindful forgetting. Because it left the conscious level behind. Just as I had to make effort to burn karma. Just as I had to make effort to forget. Mindfulness, mindful forgetting became my entire process. This is an example of the simplification. The sublime resides in simplicity. So my practice now if someone asked me my practice, which is my process, how did I evolve to the state I'm in as I look into the camera? How did I evolve? What's the history? And it used to involved expenditure of effort, searching for the right words to share. Now, My practice is mindful forgetting. I don't feel the need to elaborate, even though very few would understand, at least on a conscious level, what I mean by mindful forgetting. It was my evolution. Effort is no longer necessary. There's no trying, just being. So now I have an identificating label that encapsulates 60 years of work, of effort, of striving, of questioning, of searching, of accepting, all made possible through the most beautiful act of total surrender. Surrender without expectations, surrendering without limitations, surrendering without explanations, surrendering without acceptance, approval. So imagine how liberating it feels. At this moment, I'm visualizing changing my identification, my name with Zen with a smile, to mindful forgetting. But I do have some effort and time invested in this brand. And not completely prepared to abandon it completely. And it's still, the message is good, Zen and smile. You don't need to be a samurai, you don't need to be a warrior to practice Zen. You don't have to cloister, you don't have to wear a uniform, you don't have to wear robes, you don't have to give up all your material possessions. What you give up is attachment to them. So, the last couple of months, needless to say, while I've been practicing the latest evolution, and the thing about evolution, the thing about your evolving is that it's an ongoing process. But I just appreciate the beauty and the simplicity and the rewards of this simplification. The rewards of the acceptance that words are so inadequate. Words can only guide and point. They can't envelop. They can't contain anything other than suggestion, direction of thought, direction of effort. This is how words are useful. So the fewer that you need to use, the less confusion can be generated. So now I'm down to 2 words. Mindful forgetting. And I don't really believe that mindfulness, one word, should be an improvement over 2. Mindfulness includes mindful forgetting. But I use the forgetting as a tool to remember the importance, to remember what's important, to remember to continually forgive, to continually forget, to continually surrender, which makes everything, after all, possible. So by mindful forgetting, by using these two words to express, to share my practice, I've only shared it with a couple people to date, and I look forward to having an opportunity to do more in the future. But so far, the reaction from the two people whose opinion I value very much has been, wow, I like that. No explanation necessary, which is so satisfying, because I can feel myself straining, I can feel myself scrambling in the effort to communicate what I mean by mindful forgetting. And it's counterproductive to the process, after all, to my process. My process is to be in a continual state of forgetfulness. This puts no constraints on the flow of what's coming next. I long ago surrendered to reaching out to the world. Impatience, wanting to make something happen. And most times what happened was nowhere close to what I had desired to happen, what I had in mind to happen. So let the world come to me. I am in a constant state of receptivity, a constant state of acceptance. This is made possible through my process of mindful forgetting. It allows me to take in all that there is.